So when your dad when your dad passed, I recall you guys had a bit of debt that you had to inhale because, it gets passed down. So what what was the debt from exactly? And then what what steps did you have to take? Because this is we're probably talking about a point you were in Dallas and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to make a comeback in the 1990s and I don't know if you had to turn anything around or if it was already going well, but you had to take new steps and measures to direct the restaurant in the right direction and clear debts. So how'd you go about that?
Well,
And what was it? What was the
the
amount? And what was
the
it?
debt we when he died, he owed $4.5 million. Uh, and that was from when he built in 1983. He built the hotel out there, 54-unit hotel with a swimming pool, and he also bought a billboard plant, which had 154 billboards all over the country that he bought. And we got in there and found out that this type debt, which we had no idea about. We knew that my dad, since day one, we've always had debt over our head, but we've seen such bad times with the Big Texan, like up in Denver, those years. You don't think about it. I mean, it's there, but if you think about it, it'll scare you to death and will allow you to really focus on what you need to focus. Some people are better than others with debt. I'm not. I prefer not to even talk about it. Call it an ostrich sticking its head in the sand.
Hmm.
I know what I need to do. Just keep working hard, and things will take care of themselves, like my mom always said. And that's the one thing that I focused on as far as dealing with that. The shareholder agreement that we had between the 8 siblings was very good in so many ways, but in other ways, it bound us at the wrist and gave you a knife in one hand with all the other 8 siblings. Uh, it had some components to it that made it understandable on buying people out, but there was some other stuff that kept you in a real bad position. Victory of the last person standing. It wasn't. There was stuff that was flawed in it. Uh, it was hard to deal with the other brothers and sisters that didn't want to stay with the operations. We were all raised in it and all knew how to do it, but like anything says, what's the old expression? Too many cooks in the kitchen. We all knew how to do it, but we all had our ideas on how to do it. Some were gracious about it and said, I'm just not interested and I just don't want to be involved. I'll sell my part. But those 17 years after his death it was very hard on the family structure that we had, and there's still hard feelings, which it's just
17 years, 1990. So you're talking 2017? No, yeah, right, 2017, right?
yeah,
Good
yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
Okay.
There was lawsuits. There was a lot of other things, but once again, the debt was all intertwined with that. The one thing we went in there that when we came back from Dallas is I said, the Big Texan, the biggest thing is the entertainment part, or entertainment as we called it, because we serve food at a damn circus. We get to do whatever we want. And we had characters in there with guns and 6 packs. We had a guy with a bow and arrow that would shoot across the dining room. Don't ask me why, but we did it. We
What year? Wait, yeah. Hold on. Was this in the 90s?
Yeah, yeah. We weren't afraid to do anything. I got a live rattlesnake and went down to City Hall and got it permitted so we could display a rattlesnake. There was a lot of crazy things that I wanted to do, but it was all around entertainment. That people to come in. We formed a Tuesday night Opry, which featured local performers that would come in. This was before karaoke was there. And they would come in with their soundtracks, and we had a stage in the middle, and we had an MC, and we had formatted thing like an old Opry show. And it was a huge success, but it brought back attention to the Big Texan. And then my brother Danny came in, and his strong part was what we call the internal marketing, the food and the service. He was very good with food because he had spent 12 years with my uncle's restaurant in Kansas City, which was a big seafood place, and he really learned food real well, as well as what he learned from my dad. And service part. which gave me the flexibility to be on the outside and the external marketing to go out and promote the thing and get people to come in there, gain interest in it. We also had a rise in popularity of Route 66 back in 91. So all of a sudden Route 66 becoming popular, but it really wasn't with the Americans. It was with the international traveler that were so enthused by Route 66. And we had the musical drama Texas, which was at its heyday. They were parking 17 buses a night down there. Great business with that. But we also kept a really positive attitude on the place. It's as simple as it sounds. People say, it's not about coming in and bringing that new food or dishes or anything. It's about the attitude, positive energy into your business. So important. People don't realize how important that is because there's so much negativity
Yeah.
in restaurants. In restaurants, you get beat up by everybody. You get beat up by the labor board, the food critics, the review sites. I mean, God dang, you can't turn around without the media. Always something wrong with the food business, the health department. So you have enough negative factors on top of you all day long. But if you keep happy, and more importantly, you go listen to your people walking in the front door, which I alluded to earlier, how happy they were when they're on vacation to be at the Big Texan.
Hmm.
Because, we see grandparents coming in with their grandkids talking about when they were with their grandparents back in the 60s and their time of stopping at Big Texan. It's a rite of passage. There's so many people that are coming across it have so many great memories of the Big Texan. And it's about that food and that service that they remember it being good. If you had bad food and bad service, he wouldn't have been there. I mean, there's only so much that'll carry you in a restaurant. You have to have good food and good service. And with the abundance of great beef from the Texas Panhandle, the way we present it, the more corny we get, the more we get crazy and let Texas do whatever it wants to do. The more they like it, the more memories are made.
So does that mean in the when you stepped in, was the business in a downward trajectory?
That was the worst year in the history of the Big Texan, 1989. My dad did $1.9 million that
Hmm.
year, which isn't enough to sustain paying bills and everything else. It was the worst year it's ever done. The year before he died, his energy, his ability to make things happen, his enthusiasm, his health was not there. The last 3 years of his life, his heart was just, the stress level he was under his whole life and what he put himself under, it just wasn't working. And he was a smoker and didn't really take care of himself the way he needed to, but the stress level of any restaurant's going to get you.
Yeah.
And he died at a young age at 60
Mm.
while on vacation. So like I said, it's a bad situation, but his health, it really cost him. Plus the debt level he was carrying, it's so much on top of one individual.
Or the mistakes that he was making that he could have either avoided, adjusted, where it would have gave him more opportunity to take chances and risks without putting the family or himself in harm's way, that now you track and make sure is is settled and made sure that you don't get in that same situation as your father did.
Probably called keep your eye on the bouncing ball. uh, Whenever he was venturing out and trying to figure out ways to get Emerald people more interested and turned on by the Big Texan, he got into doing a side catering business, which was really geared towards um, the Emerald elite, as he called it, or the arts crowd. He was wanting to take food over to their house and doing these big elaborate parties. And he had a sales manager that was in with those people that was doing catering, way too many catering parties. And if he needed 20 employees to go to a party, and he knew that at the restaurant he needed 30 people on the floor, he would take those 20 off there and allow them to do that, which would leave the restaurant desperate on busy nights and critical nights. He turned his back on taking care of the people at the restaurant in order to do these fancy catering parties here in Amarillo. Profit wise, he wasn't even running numbers on the type of food he was serving at these food parties. And as a result, that's where the restaurant the past 3 years started dropping off with his health. And this catering boss he had was making ungodly amounts of money on commission because whatever she sold, they got off the top. And that created a great problem for the Big Texan. And his physical state, he just let it go because he could make appearances at these so-called caterings. Big mistake. He didn't keep his eye on the bouncing ball, which was the Big Texan. And that's the one thing, anytime we do anything, we make sure, no matter what, the mothership is taken care of 100%. The food, the service, the entertainment, everything is balanced. It's spotless. It's rustic. We always love this word, unique ugliness of the Big Texan. I mean, it's just, you can't duplicate it into a franchise or a chain. It's just the one and only. And that's what's fun about it. And once again, we don't have any limits on what we can do, what we can say, what we can not do there. It's about what you can do and having fun with that and having the people just listening to them, what they like, what they don't like, and they'll tell you all that stuff.
Hmm.
And if we change one thing, like if we change something on the menu, if we change something with one of the salad dressing, because we still make everything from his original recipes. I mean, we start at 3 o'clock in the morning out there making sure that the barbecue sauce, sour creams, everything is made from scratch out there. And that's so important because if we change one ingredient, so we take something off the menu, those yearly visitors that come to the Big Texan, they know it. And they will say, your Roquefort dressing is not like it used to be. What did y'all do to it? I mean, it's like a responsibility we have at the restaurant to keep that up. I mean, we can't close for a day. In fact, the day of his funeral, if he knew that we had closed half a day, I mean, he would have been furious for his funeral. He would have been so mad because those people, no matter where they're at, they're coming to Emerald and they expect the Big Texan to be open. I mean, we're like a lighthouse. We have to be there ready to go because people expect it. But we change anything, we've got to stay to what the Big Texan is for the truth of it. And sometimes it's a pain in the rear, but you know what? It keeps them coming back. And to this day, my brother Danny and I, the place you look at to make sure that your food is what it's supposed to be is back in the dish room at the dish table when they're bringing the dishes back. We'll stand back there for 15, 20 minutes a day and watch what they're bringing back. Are they bringing back, are they leaving? Well, who's not eating all their steak? Are we giving too many rolls? Are we putting too much salad on there? Are we putting too much dressing on there? Is that too big of a baked potato for them? So you can tell what's good and what's bad. And that's how you monitor it. And then my dad always had a rule. He said, if 10% of your people aren't complaining about your prices being high, you're not charging enough. So there's a lot of little things that we learned from him that still apply in what we're doing. It really does.
Interesting. So again, I think it sounds like your father, his heart was really in the more elaborate, whether they were profitable or not profitable, but he really enjoyed the more elaborate, more like detailed things that were. I don't know. It sounds like I don't think he knew the beauty he had created that was just staring at him, and you and your brother were able to see it from the beginning, just from an innocent eye of knowing like wow, look, this is pretty cool what we've done and what we're doing. And so it seems like what I'm more impressed or confused by, I don't know which one, that he kept the Big Texan as much as unless he kept it just because it was profitable and brought money in, or if he kept it because I guess that was strange. I know it did well, so I can see it maybe just for the profit purposes, but I'm surprised he never let it completely loose, where it could have completely been gone, where there would have been no Big Texan to come back to. And so I find that strange. Like I don't know if you've ever thought about that, where with all the stuff that you really put focus on and really Big Texan on autopilot, I'm surprised he didn't do something where like he would try to sell it off or whatnot and go, hey, we're gonna keep trying this thing and maybe one day it might hit.
No, I mean, there's many times that my brother and I, Danny, we always talk about what would happen if that phone call on that Saturday when we were in Denver with my dad in '69? What would happen if that man wanted to taken that offer on the Pantex barracks is out there? I mean, if he would have said no, he probably would have tried to sell the Big Texan to the first buyer to get out of Amarillo to get everybody moved up to Denver. And that's something that's a great question. In fact, that's the first time I think I've been asked that. But what would have happened? I mean, because he had nothing in Amarillo except debt, debt, debt. And when that phone call came that man accepted that bid on those barracks, that's when the whole thing turned back around and the Big Texan went straight up into that, shot up.
So would you call that a golden lining? In the sense that the moment in life where they call you already had a defining moment showing that Big Texan is a hit. And it can be a hit because of the right theme, the right feel, and the right character. And then when, you know, the roads moved and now you're on an offset location rather than being on the primary road where everybody traveled, that 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 second chance where you got to redefine it and really make the final Big Texan of what it is today, as it's evolved and it's continuing to evolve, you think that golden lining really happened in that one phone call? Is that what you would consider that?
Uh,
For your father.
for my father, yeah, because he, the second he put that phone receiver down, he said, "Get the stuff, get it rolled up. We're leaving tonight." I mean, it was an immediate call to action for him. So yeah, I'd say yes to that. I mean, there was no, well, let me think about that. Let me call this. I mean, he went back with nothing in his pocket. I mean, nothing. And he wouldn't have gone in that style if there would have been any question or hesitation about that, not realizing that. But he knew it would work if you got it moved. He'd seen it work for the past 10 years at that location it was at. And he knew if he could get it over there, the magic would continue. So, like I said,
So
there's no hesitation.
there was still a heart in there that was like, this works. Like what we have to do what works and we know we can do it great. And I know I'm one of the best at it. So let's go.
Yeah.